I'm going to tell you the absolute best workflow for the brand new Claude Design that you're going to see anywhere. Let me start off by saying that I've been into design all my life. My first job when I was 18 had a lot to do with design, graphic design, and web design. So I'm very passionate about this. And I'm one of these people, like, I really respect design. I might not be the best designer out there, but I really respect it. And I'm here to tell you, Claude Design by Anthropic is fantastic. Even if you're someone who really doesn't have a sixth sense how to make things really look top notch, I'm going to give you a workflow here that's going to knock your socks off, and you're going to see how simplistic it is. But if you do some things wrong, you're going to be in trouble. Not a whole lot of trouble, but things aren't going to really look that good. You might get that AI slop look. So if you follow these really easy steps, you'll be able to make beautiful designs, beautiful websites, beautiful UIs, and you'll really be pleased. So the first thing, if you're in Claude Design here, you got to name your project, right? So that's something really simple. But before you get too much into this, I suggest that you have an idea of where you want to start, meaning have something else to model this after. You don't need to try to be a prompt genius. There's a lot of people out there that are really big on selling the idea of prompting, and prompting is important, but it's not the end all be all, especially if you can give AI somewhere to start. These models prompt themselves. What do I mean by that? I mean, if you give them a direction, if you can show them exactly what you want, they internally prompt themselves. So you'll get much better results out of that than if you try to come up with some concocted prompt. Prompts have their place. If you're trying to build from scratch, yeah, you got to use a prompt. But I don't really suggest that you build from scratch, especially if you just want to get things done. You want it to look great, fantastic. Other people have already done that. So just model after them. Success leaves clues. So let me tell you what I would do and what I do. Before I get into that, I want to show you some things that I did. This hasn't been released too long. It's still in research preview. So I fooled around with it. It's a project that I'm working on called Boss Mode. And basically what Boss Mode is like Paperclip with a brain. So if you know what Paperclip is, it's a software that allows you to create basically a hierarchy and like a company off your agents. Well, except it doesn't have a brain. So I built a very robust brain. It's a recursive learning thing. I built it actually months ago. I've been working on it for about 6 months. And then I plugged it in to Boss Mode, and it's really fantastic. It gives you the ability to have a company work autonomously, but actually have it have a brain. If you just go to something like Paperclip, which is fantastic, it could just run amok. It's going to do all kind of stuff. It blew up my total usage. So I'm like, I don't want this to happen again. So I'm just going to build my own thing. And Boss Mode is fantastic. So one of the things I had to do was build out the front end of this, basically the public facing pages, what you might think of as a website. I had to build out some stuff. It was actually pretty decent, but it was kind of AI sloppish. So one of the things about Boss Mode is that you can have these things I call packs. So a pack is like an installation of not just skills, but actually hard coded behaviors for your agents to have. So I have a whole bunch of skills in the business packs. So this is basically what existed before I had Claude Design do anything, just a really not very attractive page. But then when I had it build its own page, I did give it a prompt. I said, hey, I want some like unicorn type elements in there. Unicorn is a site that gives you all kind of like cool things you could do to websites and things like that. So here's Unicorn right here, unicorn.studio. You can go in here and they have tons of really cool stuff, but you don't need this right now. I'm not saying don't use this. There are definitely some real great use cases for Unicorn. But what I did is I said, I want some unicorn-like elements in this page. So I showed it the page I had, which looked a lot like this, basically the same thing. And I said, I want it to really look futuristic, to have some pizzazz. By the way, I just dictated this. I didn't go through a fancy prompt. I just said, I want it to look very premium because this is what I call our platinum pack. And a platinum pack is like, it puts the whole bunch of packs together and gives you this very robust premium pack. So this is the page it came up with. Check out that cool thing over there. It gave this animation where the mouse hovers. So you can go in. This is, by the way, this is called our trust pack. So like basically it's about if you have a business, you don't have a lot of trust in the marketplace, you can run this pack and over a period of like 90 days, it will build up those trust assets for you on autopilot, which is pretty cool. So you look at this, it has this cool futuristic thing in the background, little text here. And this stuff isn't like, it's got a little animation here. That's pretty cool. And then these could be highlighted when you put your cursor over. I'll probably add that later. And it even build a place here. I didn't tell it to do this, but it built a place for me to put my picture, which I will upload a picture, put it right there. Another cool thing about Claude Design is it asks you questions. So it really kind of picks your brain a little bit and takes it to the next level. So this is what it came up with. Super cool. I'm 100% happy with it. Only thing I would add is maybe like some little animation here when you highlight these. But basically, that's it. Upload my picture there, and it was done. Probably took me about 5 minutes to do this back in the day. Like do something like Framer. Man, this would take a while. It would break. It would not be responsive on mobile, and it would be a real pain in the butt to try to get a handle on. Another thing I had to do was build out our trust score lead magnets. So the trust score is where you can go in, you can take a quiz, and you can see how well your product or service, coaching, consulting, SaaS, how much trust you really have in the marketplace. So you take that quiz, it'll show you your score, and it's a really cool little thing. So that page really kind of sucked, and it was a lot like the other thing I showed you, a lot of AI slop, so I had to do this. This is fantastic. I mean, I couldn't be more pleased with this. I did tell it to add some animation, make it snazzy, make it really cool, and it did a fantastic job. So didn't take a whole lot of time. Again, this one page maybe would have been like 2-3 days of full-time design dev work back in the day. So I want to do a little project with us real quick. We're going to see what it comes up with. But before we do, I'm going to show you what I am going to do before we build this page. I'm basically going to look for other sign-up pages that look good. So one of the things you could do is just Google sign-up page UI and look at all the pictures. So here, look, sign-up page design. You can look at all this kind of stuff and then pick one you like. Why? Because we're going to copy and paste it, and we're going to give it to Claude Design. So before we're going to do that, we're just going to press create here. And right now I'm going to prompt it. I'm just going to use Whisper Flow, and I'm going to say really what I want. I already have a sign up page. It doesn't look really good. What I want you to do is to redesign this page. I'm going to give you some samples of what I want, and I want you to make it look like that, except better, but make sure it matches the branding of my site. Make sure that you look at some of all the pages, get the fonts right, get the colors right, get everything that you need before going on so you make sure it's on brand. I'll give you a couple other pages that I like the vibe of that exist already on our site so you can kind of emulate it off that. This is the page on our site that I like. This is the page that I want you to totally redesign. This is what I want it to look like on mobile, except with our own sign-up buttons. And this is what I want it to look like on desktop, except, of course, don't copy those pages, but I'm just looking for the overall flow and make sure you brand it to our pages. So I already have my GitHub connected to this. So what I had to do before was copy the URL of my project and put it in there. This is in the Claudepreneur repo that you have access to. So then I'm just going to press send and let it go. Now, it's going to build this out, and it's probably not going to be perfect, but it's probably going to be pretty good, and it's going to be a whole heck of a lot better than what I already had, which is this page. Now, what's so bad about this page? It's got no pizzazz to it. It's just a bunch of text. Remember, people really don't read websites. They look at them, they scroll them. Now, I will say this. People who are getting ready to make a purchase, oftentimes, especially if it's a higher ticket purchase, will read a lot on the website. So you don't want to discount the words, but you don't want to make it all words because most of the visitors on your site will not be readers. They'll just be lookers. While it's cooking, you might wonder, what kind of plan with Claude do you need? I'm on the $200 a month plan, and I really don't run into usage limits, but that's probably because I also have the $200 a month Codex plan. So these AIs are doing phenomenal things with design. Am I saying that this is going to turn you into a world-class designer? Kinda. I mean, it's not going to make you the best of the best, but it's going to make you a whole lot better. But if you don't have a sixth sense for design, like I said before, you need to make sure you start with something that you can give it. Prompting, still important, like I said, but you can see, maybe you can learn how I prompted. It's not a whole lot to it. You just have to be able to articulate what you want and give it examples. It's really good if you can give it a before and an after, like if you already have something before. And when you're designing stuff, don't let this get in your way. What I mean by that, have it go ahead when you're vibe coding, make something from the beginning, but don't get all stuck up on how it looks now because you can just improve it like we're doing here. If you try to make it perfect, basically what's going to happen is that you're going to get analysis of paralysis type of thing. I'm debating whether or not right now we should do a cliffhanger and make you click the link in the bio to go see it, but I'll do that anyway. So whenever it finishes doing what it's doing, you might want to know, how do you get it onto your site? Well, right now they don't have a way to push it to your GitHub. I don't know why. I'm sure that's coming any day now. But for now, what you have to do is you have to come up here to share, and then you have to download the project as a zip. So then what you can do is go to your Claude Code or your Codex, make sure that's unzipped. You can keep it in your download folder if you want to, and just copy the location of that. So you can go to that folder once it's unzipped, do copy, and then put it, that being the link to the folder, in your Claude Code, and then tell it what you want it to do. Say, hey, I want it on this page, follow it exactly, don't change it. And then it'll probably do a pretty good job. It'll look just like it does here. At the time of this recording, you have to remember that this thing is still in research mode. It's pretty buggy. Even as I've been recording this video, I've had to restart it because it's stopping and it's starting up again. A couple of times it told me I ran out of tokens. That's not true. I have plenty of that. I really think what Claude Code and Anthropic is doing is basically going to wipe out things like Lovable, Replit, and you're going to be able to host this pretty soon. That's coming. Meaning you're going to be able to build all this stuff here, and then you're going to be able to say, make this live, and it's going to be able to live there. You'll be able to connect the domain. I think that's coming really soon. All right, here it is. Probably took about 10 minutes. Not too bad. A lot better than a whole day. But look at that. That's really cool, right? I mean, that's so much better. Might want to do a little image right here on this one, but basically, I'm happy with it. It looks really good. I'm going to change some things here. I'm not sure I want people to be able to sign up with their GitHub. And here's the desktop. Look, looks a whole lot better, a lot cleaner, a lot more professional. I like it a lot. It just makes me really happy because I know how hard it is to do these kind of things. And now you can just do it like that. And it's fantastic. I'm going to tweak a few things. But anyways, if you like this video, if you want to see more things like this that are just basically brass tacks, how to do these things in the most efficient way, let me know. Leave a comment below if you have any questions. Be happy to help you. Subscribe to the channel. All that. Adios. The link to what it made will be down below. You can go check it out for yourself.